Hello Malaysians, welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for this video. I would just like to share my understanding about commenting on things that I know, and also commenting on things that perhaps I don't know the whole story or the context and things like that. Now, a lot of statements have been made by so many people with regard to the trade agreement between Malaysia and the United States. The sense from the government that it is a very successful thing and that we have got a lot of things that was very good. But the sentiment from the opposition, we don't need to deal with that because the opposition is always looking to make the government look bad. My concern is there are some people who are using, let's say, a columnist talking about his or her opinion on the trade agreement, or we could see some perhaps an academic talking about the so-called trade agreement in a manner in which they find it one thing, as well as some business person talking about or giving their own version of the trade agreement. Now, I respect all those who give their opinions with regard to trade, but the problem here is that all of these people, when they give their opinion, they make a judgment. Their judgment is that it was a failure, and I find that a bit problematic to receive because of several things, and this is the thing that I wish to talk about. Now, first of all, when we talk about some kind of trade agreement, some people tend to think that this is an economic matter. Now, if it were an economic matter, let's say between one corporate having a trade agreement with another corporate of another country, now that can be said to be some kind of economic matters, how to grow the company, how to make more money and things like that. It could be said to be like that. But when it involves a government, which is more than a corporate entity, a government is more than a corporate entity. A government is a sum total of corporate, social, political, spiritual, religious, whatever. It's a lot of things. And so another country wanting to make this agreement that seems to be economic, they are also comprised of their own versions of politics, social, economic, as well as religious, spiritual, whatever. They also come to the table carrying all this baggage. So my first comment is that for anyone like an academic commenting on an economic matter with regard to trade agreement, it is not all economics. I suspect. Now I'm humble in the sense that I will say that I don't know much about such agreement like what the Zafrul have to go through. But I am very, very sure that when it involves government, then political diplomacy, all this comes into factor. So it is not purely an economic thing. It's not purely a business thing. You may lose certain thing in order to gain something unwritten. But many people think, oh, is this all that you got from it? No, there's other things which is not written because they are part of a diplomatic or political or social or certain other thing that has nothing to do with the economic aspect. So when government does this, it is always not purely an economic. It's like the budget. Many academics put up their own version of what they consider a better budget or what they consider. What they are not politicians. They are not people who are involved in the aspect of social, religious, as I said, political and things like that. They are not part of that. And those budget is made from the political perspective, not from the economic perspective. As some things that you invest or spend money on, the return is not money. The return is something else. Perhaps pride, perhaps loyalty, perhaps other considerations that the government is having to put up the more so that you have a different coalition partners demanding this and demanding that for their own state, for their own nation, like Sabah and Sarawak. So it's not an economic affair altogether. That's number one. Number two, I fail to understand why so many people cannot appreciate the fact that they were not there in the discussion. Many people seem to think that they are an expert by looking at something, a piece of paper that has some statement, and then they can tell every single story about it. I'm an academic, and you present me a piece of paper and they say, and I ask, what is the context of it? Do you know why it was said in that manner? In what situation was it said? So I don't accept things just like that, like a survey. I never trust survey. And I don't really think that a certain survey, when they do certain things, people that are reluctant to actually express their own clear opinion or honest opinion. And so, how is it that when we are not part of the negotiation process, we're never near the negotiation process, we don't know what was said, what was quid pro quo, and what was actually going back and forth, and yet we are experts to say we had lost. Now, I'm not a judge of economic aspect to say whether we are at loss or whether we are at gain. But I do know that a lot must have been said, and therefore what goes on the paper is only perhaps 10% of what was said. That much I know, because I've been in negotiations before at the faculty level, at the Senate level, and all this, and a lot of things are said, but when the minute comes out, most of the discussions are not there, because that's not what the minute is for. The minute is just to say, okay, then we decide on this. Even though I was a strong disagreement on something, but I was in the minority. So when the statement come up, people say, how come you agree with it? I didn't agree. Well, of course I couldn't say anything, because discussions are confidential, and that's another thing. Discussions between parties in very important matters are usually confidential, so you cannot explain everything why you make those decisions. Now, the third thing is the most obvious thing. How many of us are economic experts? Of course, there are some professors who are economic experts. I accept that. Of course, there are some businessmen who are used to deal with certain aspect of economy. I respect that. Of course, there are other people who are knowledgeable in some aspect of economic, and I respect that also. Now, the way to do it is to actually be humble. You say, why are we having this? Why can't we have that? I understand that there may be some quid pro quo, but I was a bit disappointed in looking that it is doing that. It may have an implication. Now, people, even though they are expert in one particular field, but again, as I remind, you are not expert in politics. You are not expert in diplomacy, and that I can attest. No one is, unless you are in the situation. So I am very disappointed in a lot of Malaysians who seem to think that they know everything. And they are very, very quick to say, oh, this minister not doing their job, this minister should resign. In all of my writings, in all of my commentary, I've never asked anybody to resign, because I don't know the full story. And I cannot be the person there. I can only comment on a certain thing, very specific things. And even then, I have to say that, well, from what I'm looking at, it's something that's not good. And I hope that the minister or the department could take up a larger picture of it. So we need to be more generous, and we need to understand our limitation. If not, we'll be doubting every single thing the government does, because there are some columnists who just wants to get to be very popular, or to get viewers for their media, news media, and they are in the business of just banging the government. I see this all the time. The one question that you need to ask when people are saying very strongly against something, can you do better? Can you do better? I doubt it any of these people who says can do any better at all, because they are not in the system. If they are an economist, they are an academic, and they are also a politician, that one maybe yes, I would say okay, okay, I can understand. But if that person is just an economist, is just a politician, then we know that it's just trying like Hassan Karim to just make noise, eh? Without any real content, just loud noise just to get attention. So for me, such things we should not give too much weight. We can listen. There's no problem with that. But ask yourself the question: does this person who is making a comment knows what he's talking about fully? Does he or she understand the context of the matter, the diplomatic aspect, the larger pictures of things? Do they understand this? So this is the clear idea of what I think, that in order for us to grow as a nation, we need to give some faith to those who we think knows what they are talking about and what they are doing. But we begin to doubt just because of some people putting out a very popular statement saying this is not good, this is very good, without checking whether we understand the whole picture and that person is the right person to be saying things. Then the fault will be on us when government policies cannot be implemented because populism seems to be ignorant about what is good for the people itself, and we can be at fault for that. So, in order to rebuild our country, we need to give some faith to those whom we think credible, and don't listen to those who are totally not credible at all. With that, thank you very much. Hi, everybody. If you would like to own my book and have my signature as well as a personal note from me, please follow the instruction. Thank you.